Welcome to Divakar Media Presents. Today we'll chat about the Charlotte International Arts Festival taking place September 15th through October 1st, 2023 in Uptown Charlotte and Ballantyne area. Joining me is Mr. Tom Gabbard. He is the CEO and president of Blumenthal Performing Arts Center. And last year they kicked off the very first Charlotte International Arts Festival. And this year they've added a new twist, lots of local artists.
We really want to see an incredibly diverse variety of all sorts of things that celebrate, the artists here in Charlotte,
right.
But the rich diversity that's there.
So do you have a committee that listens to the music, or how's that process going to work?
I mean, we've got a large staff that works on these things. They may consult with some others, but yeah, our team, I think, will be weeding through those. We're fortunate to have good existing relationships of people that we already know,
John
who've had
Tosco,
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've actually engaged John and others to actually help us with the curation of some of these things. So exactly what's on that stage, that's going to be determined over the course of the next few months. And artists are paid. Almost everything that we're doing here, visual artists, performing artists, they are paid. We feel it's important to respect artists by compensation that goes along with it.
How is this financed? I know you had some funding through the COVID, the federal funding. Is that
right.
Is that where
Last year it was largely funded by that. It was because it was nearly a $2 million festival last year.
Right.
And this year will be about $1.5 million.
Okay.
So we're fortunate to have sponsors. We're still raising money from sponsors, but again, we still have time to do that. Blumenthal itself, we're chipping in, at least to get us started. This is something we won't be able to do forever.
Right.
But part of what we do with various things is lean in and provide seed funding to get started, and then hopefully businesses and people come forward to help us make it sustainable. There are other people that do international festivals, but I think, as I mentioned, what really is unique, the way we're trying to interweave it. And so what we're trying to do is in a very authentic, real way, bring these things together and not have, a different track for local as opposed to the international.
Right, because locals are international also, right?
Right.
If you think about it,
yeah.
Somewhere there. Yeah.
But I think particularly, for a lot of people in Charlotte that just don't think of us as an international community, this is a way for us to catch up on that. And it was particularly moving this last year when we were out in Ballantyne, the number of different languages I was hearing.
Right.
Our son lives in New York, and he came down the second weekend, and one evening we were there, and we had this group from Italy who did this outside thing, and then the Birdmen who were from Belgium. So in any event, we're parading, and I told my son, I said, okay, have I totally lost my mind, or does this seem kind of New York? I said, I'm hearing these Eastern European accents.
Right.
And he said, absolutely. He said, I was just thinking the same thing. And so, those are the kinds of things that we're hoping to bring out into the open and celebrate and acknowledge and respect.
Right.
I mean, let's face it, sometimes now it's the issue of respect for these cultures that is at the core of the problem.
Right.
And so an arts festival is a perfect way to engender respect for that.
I'm glad you guys are kind of like connecting with the Festival of India, which has been happening here for so many years.
We love them.
Yeah.
And we first reached out to them quite a few years ago. We were co-producers of the Broadway production Bombay Dreams.
Right.
And so after Broadway, a few of us said, we want to take this out on tour, and Charlotte was one of those markets.
Very nice.
And we didn't have connections with the Indian community, so I went, they were doing Festival of India then at the Wachovia Atrium. And so I went and connected with Tony and some others, and I said, okay, how do I get you to come to Blumenthal and be a part of that? Because we want to develop the connection. In the immediate, we've got this big Broadway show to sell, but we want to have a forever connection.
Right.
And that's where that started.
So that's awesome that it's an international thing, but just personally, you're bringing a lot of like Broadway shows that are kicking off here in Charlotte. How does Tom pull that off? Or is it connections, or is it we're lucky? Or I don't think we're lucky. I think it has a lot to do with
it's very intentional, and so I'm really interwoven with these things. We actually are investors in many of these shows.
Really?
People don't realize
I did not know that.
We're investors and organize other performing arts centers, nearly 200 different productions, Broadway, the West End, and frequently early. I mean, for instance, the musical Waitress, I wrote, if not the first check, one of the first checks to develop that show.
Right.
And Juliet, which is the hot show in New York. If you go to their website and look up tour, you will see one city alone, Charlotte, and that'll be that way for months. That's a favor to me.
Sweet.
So yeah, we are very much a part of helping these shows get financed and then figure out a strategy to tour in the U.S.
That's very cool. Now, so are you saying we, meaning Blumenthal, along with a bunch of others, or just?
We manage a group here called the Independent Presenters Network. So it's places like Blumenthal, the Kennedy Center, Denver Center for the Performing Arts. It also includes the Schuberts and the Nederlanders, the largest owners of theaters in New York.
Right.
And so what we do is we identify 10 to 12 shows a year, and then we will organize an investment of, it's usually anywhere from $250,000 to $1 million.
Wow.
And so, in the political world, they call it a bundler. But we manage that group here. It's about 60% of the touring Broadway business.
That's very, very
But
cool.
that these are all ways that that saying about fighting above your weight or something, weight class.
So you're putting Charlotte on the map. I honestly,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. That's Tom Gabbard, President and CEO of Blumenthal Performing Arts Center. The Charlotte International Arts Festival happening September 15th through October 1st, 2023, Uptown and Ballantyne. More details at charlotteartsfest.com. If you're a visual artist or performing artist and want to get involved, do visit charlotteartsfest.com for complete details. And the Festival of India 2023 takes place September 23rd at Belk Theater. That's going to wrap it up. My name is Divakar Shukla. Thanks for listening.